Maryland, Syracuse, and lacrosse coming up this weekend. And who better to break it down with the voice of lacrosse, Tim Leonard, than Rick Beardsley. Rick, how are you? Oh, he's not there.
Rick, you got us all good?
He's gone. He's not there. It's just an empty camera.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a party
It's a
for Rick
picture
right
of
now.
him. Yeah, he's taking
I'm
the
here.
weekend off.
Yeah. Is he
I've
eating his
come
lunch,
back as
maybe?
a
I don't
You were
know.
going to ask him about that, right?
metal portrait of myself.
Yes. It's just a chair.
That is so on brand that he's
What do we got here?
just a chair.
I can't hear
on the
anybody.
screen. It says Beardsley and everything. All right, so we'll see when Rick Beardsley pops back up here.
Do you guys have microphones?
Very excited to talk. Oh, here he is.
Yeah, where are you? We can hear you, but we can't see you. Oh, where it's a picture of you.
It's a prop.
I don't know what the heck is happening. Rick, how are you? There's Rick. Rick, welcome.
I can't hear you
You
guys,
should
but
hold
all I know is I have a metal cutout of myself, and that's incredible.
He can't hear us at all. Okay.
Not
so
at
we
all.
got to work on that.
That might be an issue.
That is a problem. Can you hear us now, Rick? This has been great, riveting radio.
Yeah, right. The Q
Now I
Sports
can
Talk
see
crowd
it.
is getting a
Now
kick
I
out
can
of it.
hear you guys. What's
all
going
right.
on?
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Now, before we get into lacrosse, let's ask the question I miss asking you. What'd you have for lunch today, Rick?
As a matter of fact, Paulie, I knew I prepared for that. So, as you know, I'm living in the state of New Jersey with our oldest daughter, Angela, until she graduates from high school. Hi, Viviana. Hi, Tori. They're in Syracuse on their way to the airport to go to Florida for break. Well, actually, Tori's under the weather, so she'll take a little bit. But so what did I have? I'm not going to lie to you. It isn't anything, because I'm kind of a loser. I stay in my house all the time. I do nothing. I ate scrambled
like Paulie.
eggs. Dude, I had scrambled eggs with cheddar cheese.
Nice.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, but
All
now,
right.
Paulie, let's really talk food. Right up the street is one of the most highly rated pizza places in all of the One Bite app by Portnoy, Nellie's. It's up and literally it's a quarter of a mile from my house. So it's got what they call Jersey bar pie, and it is absolutely amazing. But the thing is, if you haven't noticed, I've got 2 Jersey bar pies caught right in my neck. And I've swallowed at least, I would say, 80 of them since I've lived here.
You look great, Rick.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm a
I don't
big
even want to
round-headed
talk
fool.
lacrosse the way this is starting, but let's get into the lacrosse team a little bit here, Rick. What have you made of the start of this season? It's obviously off to a great start, and now this Maryland game, I think everyone is circling as a big litmus test type of game, but 3-0, 3 convincing wins, and what has stood out to you so far?
Well, the best thing I've been able to do while I've been home for 2 of those games, actually, I'm in the Galaxy box with Pat Mooney and Mooney Marketing Group for each game. And so I've got a great bird's eye view of what Syracuse is and who they are right now. You know, they're 3-0 with convincing wins over some average teams. Let's be frank. But the one upside is, boy, can they score goals. It is going to not be the case if they can't score goals this year. They will put up points. It's on the defensive end, can they stop those real high-powered offenses that we expect them to stop? The Virginias, the Notre Dames, and coming right up. Right? What is coming right up is University of Maryland. And Maryland's got some, they're 2-0, but they're very battle-tested. Double overtime win over a number 19 Richmond team and beating number 12 Loyola in this week's poll. So they're kind of battle tested, but one thing is they're kind of green, right? A lot of their superstars have graduated and now they've pulled in those second team All-Americans. I mean, John Tillman and the Terps, the rich get richer. But I'll tell you what, Syracuse right now, it goes as 22 goes. And I'm not saying it because my daughter's going to play for his father in college. Boy, is Joey Spallina everything everybody cracked up to be wearing that 22. I mean, the first quarter of that Vermont game, you guys were thinking the same thing as I was, and the rest of that Galaxy media luxury box that we were in was there's one ball and so many superstars. And In the second quarter, the ball started to get into 22's hands. And from there, it was distributed beautifully. It was running well. They've had great offensive schemes, offensive sets, getting guys involved. You know, everybody talks about Joe Spallina, but you also have to understand he's got 16 assists. He has only 10 goals. And Owen Hiltz on that left wing, it was an absolute sniper in the last game. It's like he couldn't miss. And when he's on fire and his plus minus is not equal, it's above what he can play, he's great. Then you add Christian Moulet, Michael Leo, you have Finn Thompson coming off the bench. And then what do you have? You have Jordan Stevens, right, from Princeton. They got Luke Roa. Jake Stevens, sorry. Luke Roa. You have, Mason Cohn from Tufts. He's been great at the X. So to answer your question, more simply, I've been extremely impressed with the Orange and the way it's been going thus far, and we will certainly see tomorrow because tomorrow will be a test.
Yeah, it's shaping up to be very similar to how last year's season started. The difference is you went on the road to play Maryland last year. They were 3-0 and lost by 3 goals on the road to Maryland. They've kind of hung in these first 2 games against Maryland, and it does feel like Maryland is that new standard program of lacrosse. So do you feel like this game maybe different expectations, though, considering it is a home game this time around compared to a road game last year, and we're seeing Syracuse at number 5 in the polls. That's the highest ranking they've had under Gary Gait.
Guys, this is the game that everybody circled in their calendars. Everybody figured Syracuse would be 3-0 and Maryland would be who Maryland is, right? Which is a perennial power. And this is the one to say, is Syracuse back? Now, we will certainly find out what it's all about when that face-off hits at 6 p.m., but I do 100% think that this is going to be one heck of a game. The spread on it's 1.5 going to Maryland, right? So if you're a bettor, that's what you have. I would stay away from it. But I'm going to tell you right now, guys, this is going to be an exciting game. The defense matchup of Zappitello versus Spallina. If I'm Zappitello, I'm going to be frank with you, whether I wear one or not, I bet you that kid's questioning whether he wants to guard him. I just don't see that kid as a number 1. I just don't think they have that guy. But they had to give the number to somebody, and maybe I'm a homer. Who knows? But I'm going to tell you right now, I just think you got to watch that kid's feet. When he goes out to approach Joey Spallina, he's taking on the real deal here, man. And he's going to find out quick, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. That's Maryland's number 1 is their big number. Syracuse's big number, of course, one of their big numbers is 22. Joey Spallina, 22 against Maryland's number 1. As a former defender, what would you say is the best way to try and slow down Joey Spallina, who you hit on earlier has been just as advertised in a Syracuse uniform since he stepped on campus? He's coming off a 10-point game, which no one has done at Syracuse since Ryan Powell in 2000. When you look at what Spallina brings to the table, his strengths on offense, is it getting physical with him? What would be the approach from a defender's mindset against him?
Well, in this day and age, they have a lot more than we had available. I was one of the rare guys that would go and watch Betamax or VHS in Coach Desko's office of my matchup. But if I was a defender in this day and age, I would try to find what his tendencies are. I would try to put him to where, he doesn't like to go, which you'd have to find. I mean, Joe goes, he hits the right side a lot. If I was him, my old strategy was just put a guy to his left, put his guy to his weak hand and see where he takes you, because a lot of the offenses and comfortability, right? That's not even a word, but I'm going to say it is at this point because I got an 800 on my SATs. That comfortability, for Joe Spallina is to go right-handed, make contact, and get his hands free right-handed. You got to look at the mix of how many passes he throws righty and how many passes he throws lefty, or how many shots he takes lefty, how many shots he takes righty. I personally, if I was Maryland, I would shut him off a couple times or shade him one away from the ball, make the ball reverse around, make other people hurt me to see if they can without him distributing the ball. But I hope Coach Tillman's not listening, because I am a master tacticianer when it comes to writing, game plans, at shutting a person down. But to guard Joe Spallina, you got to come out, be ready to play, because he comes at you in a bunch of different ways. He can come at you with explosiveness. He can come at you with contact. He can come at you with slickness with his hands. He can come at you to feed. He's going to use, picks and body language. That kid is the complete player. Now, Ajax Zapatello, first and foremost, I'd never met a kid by the name of Ajax. That's amazing. We used to wash our dishes with that. But he's a great defender in his own right. I just don't know if he is that premier defender to stop him. But we're all going to see, right? I could be very wrong. I don't think I'm wrong, and I do think I bleed orange a little bit here and there. So I'm going to root, obviously, for Joey in that matchup. But if I were playing Joey, now if it was me and Joey and we're in our prime, him and I have spoken about this. We talk about this all the time. And if he's listening, he knows. He knows the deal. He's going probably 1 for 10 on me one-on-one, and he knows it. So we'll argue that later on text, as we've been talking this morning. Both he and his father Joe Senior and I are on a text string every Friday. We kind of chop it up a bit, but that is going to be a great matchup. If I was guarding him, like I said, I'd put him to whatever tendencies he didn't want to use, and I would obviously not let him touch the ball, because I really do think as Joey Spallina goes, Syracuse's offense flows.
What about defensively for Syracuse? Interested to get your take on this. New defensive coordinator, John O'Derna's in. You talk to the players, it seems like a big word they're using is it's just more simplified this year defensively. And sure, the Orange have played, like you said, 3 average teams so far. This will be a big step up in competition tomorrow. But what have you seen from this new defensive scheme from John O'Derna so far?
Number one, everybody will think that I'm going to cast aspersions because my name was in on the mix of that and everything. I'll be honest with you. I do think that John O'Derna has done an incredible job. I pay attention to defensive schemes, what guys do. You're right. There wasn't it's not a lot of crazy where Petro had it changed depending on where a guy dodged. There was some bumps. There was a lot of different things. I think the only thing I saw, and I'd love to call him and talk to him, the only thing I really saw that was really complex that they did was Jake Stevens got caught on the field late in middle of the third quarter, and he kind of dropped into almost like a backer zone. And I was curious as to if that was the call versus whatever offense that Manhattan had. Obviously, he'd be very familiar with Manhattan being the head coach there. But John O'Derna has done an incredible job on the defensive end. He's dealing with guys who he didn't recruit, number one. Listen, a Manhattan defenseman, no offense, is very different than an ACC-level defenseman. But we're trying to figure out who that true number one is. Number 11 there, I think he's still hobbled a bit by his knee. How do I say his name?
Riley Figueres.
Figueres. And I do think he's a little bit hobbled on the top side by his knee, or maybe a little gun shy. But Billy Dwan III, who, by the way, I've known since he was a little tyke. My mother cut his grandparents' hair and his dad's hair. We all grew up in Yorktown Heights. I went to Lakeland, which is the opposing high school. Believe it or not, I know Paulie's like, wow, how did Beardsley know all these people? That's the reason why. I grew up in the Mecca, Paulie. It wasn't like Ilion, New York, where it wasn't the Mecca of lacrosse. Right? That's where you're from, Paulie?
No, I'm from Syracuse and San Diego.
You're not from San Diego. Your accent definitely sounds like you're from San Diego. I'll tell you that much.
No, I am. I grew up there. I swear.
All right. So, but my point is, and then let's talk about the D-middies, right? Jake Spallina, number one, doing a great job coming in and spelling some injuries on carry. Really bogus move by the Colgate kid, hitting carry out of bounds that time. Ended his career. Unacceptable that you would even try to want to do that. Listen, I am all for trying to punish human beings out there, but I'm not all for trying to end careers with cheap shots, okay? Number two, Sam Alexo. Let's talk about him. He hasn't even had to play that much. And when he gets in, as Paulie's grandparents would say, forget about it. This kid's been unbelievable, all right? Matt Wright, the UNC transfer, 51. Yeah, he doesn't look that great, fleet of feet, and his plus minus is a little bit crazy. He takes fouls. But, man, does he make you put your head on a swivel on ground balls, which is what Syracuse needs to do. So I think Syracuse has great pieces on defense. With the new coach, they're feeling each other out. It'll change week to week. Obviously, Syracuse didn't just jump into the craziest schedule like some guys did. I mean, Maryland's schedule goes Syracuse, Princeton, Notre Dame, Brown, UVA, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, Hopkins, and Rutgers. That's a gamut. Right, where Syracuse goes Utah, who's very good next week, right? And they kind of hit Army, who's, I don't know if Army is the top 10 in my opinion, but anyway, they're going to have some challenges, but I think having that three game kind of buffer has truly helped that unit. The one thing that's very interesting, have you guys noticed on man down, they make a wholesale unit change. So the 3 starters go out and 3 backups come in. Now, we're all trying to figure that one out. I don't know if it's trying to make mom and dad happy with playing time. I just don't know how that's going to work when you hit that ACC schedule or even tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm curious on that. I've talked to Gary a little bit about it, and he has said that they're kind of feeling it out. And after the first 3 games, I think they're going to make a decision on whether they're going to stick with that man-down defense going forward against Maryland. But very excited for this game tomorrow. Rick, we appreciate the time. Thanks for hopping on for a little bit, and it should be a fun one inside the Dome tomorrow.
Guys, thanks for having me as always. I love being on the show. I do miss Syracuse. I'll be back full-time in July. But, man, I'll tell you one thing that Jersey isn't. It isn't Syracuse, guys. So I miss it, and go Orange.
All right, that is Rick Beardsley.
We'll have you on again soon, Rick.
Oh, don't
Very
worry.
exciting always to chat with him, and got off to a typical start when Rick Beardsley is on with the confusion, but that was good stuff from him breaking down the defense there.
All right, we'll take a quick time out. We'll come back to a real quick segment, and then we'll get into the Georgia Tech basketball game with Andy Demetra, the voice of the Yellow Jackets. I got to talk to him about something that happened last year at Georgia Tech also.
Oh, I think I know what this is. I'm excited for this.
I was attacked.
Yes.
And we'll discuss that.
By a character of some sort.
Nice. ESPN Radio Syracuse, Utica Rome, and QSportsTalk.com.